Now let's get to the latest on the Sean Diddy Combs federal trafficking and racketeering trial in New York City. After 6 weeks of testimony, the government today has started to present closing arguments in their case against the music mogul. The feds characterized Combs as the leader of a criminal enterprise, and that enterprise serviced Combs' personal desires through a pattern of, quote, violence, coercion, and manipulation, end quote. In addition to that, the feds allege Combs committed several crimes that include kidnapping, arson, forced labor, bribery, trafficking. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. If convicted on all counts, he could face up to life in prison.
As the trial of Sean Diddy Combs draws to a close, the prosecution delivered a powerful closing argument, leaving no room for doubt. They zeroed in on two critical points. First, that Cassie was coerced into participating in freak-offs against her will, highlighting a pattern of manipulation and control. Second, they contended that Diddy leveraged his vast influence in corporate empire to facilitate these acts, effectively turning his business into an instrument for exploitation. This case, they argued, goes beyond individual misconduct. It exposes a systemic abuse of power at the highest levels.
The prosecutor, in closing, calling Combs the leader of a criminal enterprise who didn't take no for an answer, saying Combs, quote, forced and manipulated Cassie Ventura and Jane to have sex with escorts for his own entertainment and used power, violence, and fear to get what he wanted. Combs is the only defendant, but the prosecutor told the jury he did not act alone, saying, quote, he managed to do this for 2 decades because he used his money, his influence, and his inner circle to cover up his crimes. It's his kingdom. Everyone was there.
The prosecutor drove the point home. Just one freak-off, a single non-consensual instance, would be enough for the jury to grasp the gravity of the crimes. They emphasized that if jurors found even one verified case of such exploitation, it would stand as irrefutable proof of wrongdoing in its most grotesque form. The message was unequivocal. A single proven act would be sufficient to convict Combs and ensure he faced the full weight of justice.
Necessarily feel like it. The prosecutor's presentation for the last 7 weeks has been rather sprawling, and at times it felt disjointed. Witnesses testified that may or may not have had anything to do with one another. Today was the chance for prosecutors to try to tie all of that together and all of the evidence about hundreds of freak-offs that the jury heard about, saw graphic footage of, and today prosecutors said a single freak-off is enough. That the jury just had to find that sex trafficking elements were met by prosecutors one time in order to convict.
During her 5-hour closing argument, the prosecutor relentlessly hammered home a central theme. Everyone in Diddy's orbit existed to serve him. It was his kingdom, his rules. She meticulously wove together testimony after testimony, demonstrating how his abuse of power was undeniable, pervasive, and deliberate. This wasn't just about isolated acts of coercion, she argued. It was a calculated system of control strong enough to support racketeering charges. The evidence laid bare a criminal enterprise, where manipulation wasn't just personal misconduct, but the very foundation of his empire.
It was his kingdom, she said. They were there to say yes, because she said over and over in a rhetorical flourish, Sean Combs would not take no for an answer.
A poignant moment unfolded in court today as Diddy's entire family, his 6 children and his mother, sat together in a united show of support. Their presence cast emotional weight over proceedings, standing steadfast beside him as he faced one of the most difficult chapters of his life. Amid the high-stakes legal battle, their solidarity served as a silent but powerful statement. A family bound together, even in the storm.
We saw everyone from Janice Combs, Diddy's mother, Charlucci, who's one of Diddy's very close friends, who's been inside that courtroom every single day of trial and even was attending some of those pre-trial hearings too. We saw Keisha Combs, that's Sean Combs' sister, Justin Combs, Sean Combs' son. Quincy was there, again, that's also Sean Combs' son. Lisa Hilton, who is the mother of Justin Combs, was there. Sarah Chapman, who is Diddy's daughter, Chance's mother. And then, of course, the twins were there, that being Delilah Combs and Jesse Combs. And so it's interesting, the only one that notably was absent from what I could see inside the main courtroom was just Christian Combs. But everybody else, and I should also say probably his youngest daughter, that being Love.
As the trial nears its end, the prosecution delivered a game-changing summation unraveling their case with clarity that caught many by surprise. Today, they meticulously detailed why the federal RICO charges were brought against Diddy, connecting dots that had previously seemed fragmented, unlike earlier stages of the trial, where establishing direct ties proved challenging. The prosecution now wove together a compelling, cohesive narrative, directly linking Diddy's alleged orchestration of crimes to the racketeering indictment. Their presentation was not just thorough, it was damningly precise, leaving little room for doubt about the scope of his alleged enterprise.
What did it feel like?
It felt like Diddy's team was saying, y'all got us effed up, and y'all did our job for us, and we ain't got to do nothing else. Y'all brought this man here. Y'all wasted his time, his family's time, his energy. Now we about to let him walk out of this courtroom. Thank you for doing our job tonight.
Well, the reality is that's the confidence his lawyer is supposed to have.
Man, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I've never thought that he was gonna walk clean away from this, but I didn't think that they would come with that confidence at the end of this. I did not.
They would have to. I'd be mad as hell if I'm paying them all this money and they ain't have no confidence.
I mean, but even presenting, like when they stood up to present their defense, they entered in, some transcripts from witness testimony from like Dawn, from Jane, from Mia, all these different people of like the times that they basically were caught up on the stand. And
Diddy, meanwhile, projected unshaken confidence that he would emerge unscathed from the trial, breaking his usual silence in court. He flashed a smile, waved dismissively, and even thanked the judges for their oversight of the proceedings, a striking display of ease. His relaxed demeanor suggested either supreme faith in his legal team's strategy or an unspoken certainty about the trial's outcome. To onlookers, it was a bold signal. He wasn't just hoping for an acquittal, he seemed to expect it.
A smile and a wave. And today, Diddy waived his right to testify. In open court, he revealed it was his own decision, telling the judge, "I'm doing great, and you're doing an excellent job." Diddy spoke out just after the 34th and final prosecution witness took the stand.
Behind the glitz and headlines, Diddy's trial feels like a collision of power, money, and long-buried secrets. The prosecution's RICO case appears stronger than many expected, especially after their damning closing arguments. But skeptics wonder if this is really about justice or a targeted takedown of a cultural titan. Has Diddy's empire, backed by deep-pocketed allies like Diageo, shielded him for years? Absolutely. But the feds don't bring RICO lightly. They've likely spent years threading the needle. Yet, the bigger question looms. Is Diddy a fall guy for wider system corruption? The timing, amid Hollywood's reckoning with abuse and exploitation, reeks of symbolism. Either way, this isn't just a trial. It's a proxy war over who gets held accountable in a world where power often buys impunity. Your take? Is this the tipping point? Or just another show of legal theater where the elite play by different rules?